Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name's Joe Buskins. This is our family's boat shop, and today we are talking all about PPE, some protective equipment when you're working with fiberglass and Gelcoat. And if you're new to working with fiberglass, it's itchy stuff and it's smelly stuff, so it's good to wear some protective gear. Now, a lot of times when we're doing our videos and I'm doing small quantities, one of the most basic things you can start with is just some good air movement through your shop. We've got a couple fans kind of set off over here to the side. A lot of times you can't see them, but that'll kind of help with airflow when I'm doing some small demonstrations. I may not always have the full complement on because it can be hard for you folks to hear me. But I want to go over some basic setups today, and I got kind of a table full of just from kind of like good, better, best type scenarios. And there's not really like one scenario fits all. Sometimes you may just have a little bit of light sanding to do, just some nuisance dust, and it's not anything super heavy duty. And something like your standard off the shelf, your little 3M paper masks are gonna be just fine for that. What's nice about these, they are cheap and you can talk through them, pretty easy to hear. But remember, it's really only for like small particles that are not volatile organics. It's kind of like nuisance dust. Good idea also to have some basic eye protection. You got some eye protection, you got a little mask, and some inexpensive, I tend to use latex gloves for the most part. And that's gonna get you kind of just covering some of your basics. Now, a lot of times you folks may see me using, this is the 3M, they call that the Secure Click HF803 SD. And if you're a full-size guy, I wear a large or a grande, kind of just going to be more comfortable. You don't want one that's too small. What I do like about this one is that you got protection with the right cartridge for what they call VOCs, or volatile organic compounds. That's going to be particles of chemicals that you don't really want to breathe and you don't want it in your system. And they've got adjustments on there, and most of you folks probably know this, but you can kind of adjust these straps to find a comfort level. What I like about this one is you can still talk and be heard pretty clearly. Same deal with this one. You could wear some glasses like that, or you could even bump up to something with a little more protection around the side, for example. And these are about $100 if I'm not mistaken for a good quality. I would go ahead and spend a little bit of money. 3M makes really good stuff. No, they don't sponsor me. It'd be awesome if 3M did, but I just like their equipment and their products. Now, moving on up the line, we've got a big 3M full face respirator. This thing really does the job of eye protection and breathing protection all in one. And again, if you've ever done any grinding of fiberglass, like if you're doing a stringer or transom replacement, you're gonna be in it, I mean heavy duty, and you're gonna need more than just your standard light mask. I see people sometimes doing it with t-shirts and shorts and not the right kind of gear necessarily. So you're gonna wanna suit up with some kind of a painter's suit. Now you'll notice there's different levels of protection here. This one is moderate, and a lot of people may not be aware of it, but this one material is more breathable. You can actually blow through it and get a little bit of airflow, and it's fine for like dust. It does seem to stop most fiberglass particles, and it's going to be much cooler, especially in the summertime. Where I live, we're in the deep south, and it's hot for several months out of the year. And if it's no suit or one of these are going to give you some protection and are going to keep paint drips off of you, most of the dust. Now, if you go to a true Tyvek suit, this one's full coverage, and if you look at here, this one is really going to be maximum protection. But this stuff, you can't blow through it. It says it's breathable. But I can tell you right now, if you're in one of those in the summertime, it does not feel like it's breathable. So there's different hybrid approaches. Now, I wanted to show you folks something you can do sometimes. Now, this is one of the less expensive painter suits, and I'm going to do something that may surprise you. We're going to take some scissors and just trim the legs off of this thing, because sometimes maybe just your upper torso. Maybe you are working with some fiberglass and you're just trying to keep drips and runs off of you. Now, I've had a lot of experience dealing with this stuff, but this way you got a little bit of protection kind of on your upper torso, and you can keep your legs or your shorts open and still get some airflow through there. Now, a piece of equipment that a lot of folks may not have ever used when it comes to dealing with fiberglass, if you got your painters out there, I know you know what that is. That is going to be a spray sock. And these are fairly inexpensive, and they are meant to protect your hair and your ears. And I'm going to go ahead and suit up and show you folks a full complement of gear to protect you when you're doing this kind of stuff, because again, if it's a transom floor stringer type replacement, it is going to be unpleasant. All right, and this goes right over. Gonna zip this down, get a nice snug seal, and you can see we are pretty much sealed all the way around the perimeter. I would zip that up. You got hearing protection, and you're going to need some good gloves if you're doing some grinding. I like some that have the straps like so. Now, one thing you can do is actually take some blue tape, and you can tape up your wrist and close up that little gap right there. Now, that I'm pretty bulletproof at this point. That's a pretty good setup. And that will cover these release right here at the bottom. You can pull that right off of there. It's if you're a little claustrophobic though, I tell you, sometimes being in all that gear can be a little bit, it can take a little bit of getting used to, but honestly, once you have it on, you kind of feel like you got a suit of armor. Now, the good gloves, I have had some comments in the past. We use small, high-speed grinders a lot, and I mentioned using fans to move some air. Sometimes if you got a big open space, you can just move some air away from you. And when we are grinding or sanding, which a lot of times that's when you really generate a lot of dust, good idea to wear some leather gloves or some work gloves to minimize the chance of that disc possibly hitting you. But another tool in our arsenal of PPE, or staying protected from the materials that we may be sanding, is to actually use a big vacuum in conjunction with a grinder. So a lot of times if you've got a helper or a friend, we'll put 2 or 3 extensions, and someone can stand way back away from where you are, and as you're sanding, you can have this person following the disc and soaking up a lot of the grinding dust. And you can also use that grinder. You'll find that the grinding wheel is going to have an orientation. It's going to spin, and if you turn the disc correctly, you can actually direct the dust away from you. And if you didn't see our previous episode here, if you're wondering what we got here, we do have, it had a pour foam experiment there. So if you're curious about what that is all about and how to pour foam, that is something that you would want to wear some PPE when you're doing. If you're sanding it especially, it's very itchy and very scratchy. So that is kind of a basic rundown. Now obviously there are replaceable cartridges and filters, and again, you want to be sure to run ones that are designed for the appropriate kind of chemicals we are using. Now, if you're new to this kind of work and haven't run one of these before, changing the filters is quite easy. These kind of just rotate off, and then you can snap a new one right back on, and you are good to go. So hopefully that was helpful for you folks. Now, we do have well over 100 videos here on the channel. Everything from a 25 video series documenting the build of our 29 footer there in the background, to more recently This gray piece here, we built a full plug, mold, and a one-of-a-kind hardtop for our 29. And even just very recently, we did a Gelcoat spraying and polishing video. Now this was just a rough panel, and we took it to a glossy shine step by step. So I want y'all to know I do genuinely appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I hope I covered most of the bases here. Maybe one more tidbit. These are going to be a light duty glove. There are some companies that make a much heavier duty latex glove. But if you guys have some suggestions, or if there's a project y'all are working on and want to tell me about it, I love seeing you guys comment below. And if any of these products you guys want to purchase for your personal use or your own project, check out the links below our video description. Almost all this stuff can be bought either through Amazon, or you folks can actually go directly to Fiberglass Warehouse if you're looking for some Gelcoat and fiberglass supplies. So once again, thank you so much. Captain Joe here, Island Marine Charters, Fish Bump TV. My son is my amazing cameraman working hard behind the scenes, and we will catch you folks in the next episode.